Hello and welcome to the lunch edition of MBC News with me, Evelis Chingambe, Art of Stories.
President Lazarus Chakwera is in neighboring Mozambique on a two-day state visit at the invitation of his Mozambican counterpart, Felipe Nyusi. Governance and human rights advocate Undule Magasungula hails the Malawi Congress Party MCP for organizing a peaceful and transparent national convention. And in sports, newly signed FCB Nyasa Big Bullets players Lamek Gamhani and Wongani Lungu are not part of the squad that will face Red Arrows in CAF Champions League first preliminary round match.
Thank you for joining us. Now the news in detail. President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera is in Mozambique on a two-day state visit at the invitation of his Mozambican counterpart Felipe Nyusi. Dr. Chakwera says his visit to neighboring Mozambique is, among others, to strengthen bilateral relations between the two countries. Meanwhile, officials at Nacala port in Mozambique have described the port as an untapped opportunity for Malawian importers and exporters. Justin Guel has more in this report.
According to the port's director, Niemo Induna, the port has a capacity to handle 10 million metric tons of goods, but it is only handling 3 to 4 million. He said this shows that there is untapped opportunity for Malawi to have its own share of the port's utilization, topping up on the current usage. Induna then called on Malawians to make use of the port for the growth of both economies.
This is a clear sign that we still have a lot of capacity to be explored to Malawi. Okay, we are showing to you a new port with equipment, modern equipment, with systems in place. Being said to say that our operations are very quick, and this is where you can use Port of Nacala as your main. If you look at the position of Port of Nacala, it's a very strategic one because it's the shortest road to Malawi. The reason why you need to consider Port of Nacala as the main player to bring goods to Malawi.
The director added that the port has put up different structures for efficiency in its operations. He outlined that, among others, the port has security cameras in and around its premises, clearance is made on the same day, and it has a lot of shipping lines.
They are more than welcome. When we inaugurated the port on the 7th October last year, Malawi president was here with us, and he said that this is Malawian port. Port of Nacala is Malawian port, and I'm here to reiterate it. And you can see from yourself the infrastructure is new, the equipment is new and modern. We are implementing automation, so and we do not have any limitations. Our operations are 24 hours.
Nacala port was rehabilitated, expanded and upgraded last year, and President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera was part of the event. In his speech at the event, Dr. Chakwera said the port is important for the growth of the Malawi economy. Justin Mkweu, MBC News, Nacala, Mozambique.
From Maputo, Mozambique, President Chakwera will proceed to Harare, Zimbabwe, where he will attend the 44th SADC Summit. Meanwhile, Southern African Development Community SADC Council of Ministers are set to discuss and agree on easing travel requirements within the region. Malawi's Defense Minister Harry Nkandawire hinted that developmental issues will be discussed during the ongoing SADC Council of Ministers meeting ahead of SADC Leaders Summit at the new Parliament House in Harare, Zimbabwe. Blessings Chereuka with the details.
Minister of Defense Harry Nkandawire, speaking in an interview with MBC, noted that despite being part of the SADC region, it remains challenging to obtain travel documents for some member countries. Nkandawire assured that this might soon be the issue of the past as the Ministers' Council is actively addressing the issue.
But I should also add to say we discussed issues of visas within the SADC, which is a welcome gesture. This is stress on our people, especially the ones traveling by road, say from Zimbabwe to Malawi, vice versa, Zambia to Zimbabwe, South Africa. So that's another issue that we tackled very well.
The SADC Council of Ministers oversees the region's functioning and development, ensuring policy implementation.
It's not our level to make decisions. We will have to recommend to our bosses, and then they will have to make a final decision.
The Council convenes twice annually, in January or February, and prior to the SADC Summit. Blessings Chereuka, New Parliament Building, Harare, Zimbabwe.
First Lady Madame Monica Chakwera has urged women and girls in the country to come together and fight against cyber threats. Madame Chakwera made the remarks in Lilongwe during the official opening of the Women and Girls in Cyber 2024 annual conference. Olive Perry with a report.
The Women and Girls in Cyber conference seeks to encourage and empower young women to pursue careers in cybersecurity. Speaking during the official opening ceremony of the conference, First Lady Madame Monica Chakwera said the digital world has brought many opportunities but also serious challenges, as evidenced by the rise of cybercrime. Madame Chakwera said women and girls need to have knowledge and skills that are crucial in the fight against cybercrime. She said if women thrive in the cybersecurity, everyone benefits from a safe and more inclusive digital landscape.
Imagine a world where every woman and girl, no matter where she is from, has the knowledge and the skills to protect herself and her community online. A world where cyber threats are met with resilience and innovation, driven by diverse perspectives and talents of women leaders. This is why it is so important for us to come together to face this issue head-on, and who better to lead this effort than the women and girls.
In his remarks, Minister of Information Moses Kunkuyu said the ministry is aware of the cyber threats that women and girls face. Kunkuyu said the ministry is working on policies and interventions that are aimed at making the cyberspace safe for every Malawian.
We're hoping that in the next sitting of Parliament we should be able to take these, and some that are already just in draft state, but they are being perfected as of now, so that together they cannot be taken to Parliament. The aim of these bills is to make sure that we align ourselves with the international best practices that are pertaining in the world.
Board chairperson of the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA, Bridget Chibwana, said the 3-day conference will provide a supportive and inclusive environment for girls and women to learn about various opportunities available in the cyberspace.
It is our sincere hope that these will be mentored so that in future they become the gurus in cybersecurity. The
second edition of the Women and Girls in Cyberspace 2024 annual conference runs from 13th to 15th August. Olive Piri, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Germany Ambassador to Malawi, Ute Koenig, has called on journalists in the country to use modern technologies in their work responsibly to avoid spreading disinformation to people. Ambassador Koenig was speaking at Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences MUBIS during a 2-day campus international conference. More in this report by Alufisha Fisher, being read by Hilda Ngomano.
Ambassador Koenig said although technological advancement has helped journalists in disseminating information very fast, it has also brought in challenges of disinformation and fake news. Koenig said the recent elections in India is a good example where fake news generated by artificial intelligence was widely used, which brought in a lot of confusion to voters in choosing who to vote for. Ambassador Koenig further said it is the duty of journalists to establish trust from the general public by reporting fairly on issues that matter to the society. He also called on local journalists to write their stories in a way that those from other continents can easily understand them.
focusing on the importance for journalists to have a responsible job and also to help the public establish trust in the works of journalists, and how this has been endangered sometimes by technology and by the spread of disinformation and false narratives and false technical tools that can be used through AI. We watched that in the election in India. There were many fake videos spread and fake stories endangering the trust of the public in the task of the journalists.
And in her keynote address, Dr. Sisanda Bukeka Goala from University of Western Cape from South Africa said there is need to incorporate local knowledge when thinking of innovation and research to avoid over-reliance on Western ideas.
A presentation really focused on defining innovation beyond technology, to say that when we think of innovation, we mustn't just think about technology, but talk about the ideas and methods, new ideas and methods of doing things that will better our lives as people who live in sub-Saharan Africa. And key to that is making sure we incorporate indigenous knowledge systems. So we know that innovation is often seen as a very Western thing, but there is lots of innovation that our people, our ways of doing things could bring to the world if we don't just think of it from a one-dimensional perspective. So from the theories that we look at to the case studies that we use, looking at how our communities are doing things, how indigenous knowledge can enhance that, and then incorporate it with what is currently happening in the technological realm.
Executive Dean of School of Education, Communication and Media Studies at MUBAS, Dr. Kizito Kanyoma, said they will continue embracing various technological innovations in promoting teaching and learning at the institution.
We actually learned years back from around 2021 on how best we could actually make use of technologies during the COVID era and the like, but kind of after that we have fallen back from that practice, and we're hoping that we can actually learn much more out of this conference to actually use the technologies to help advance our teaching and learning.
The conference focused on embracing teaching and learning innovation in higher education and drew participants from 12 African countries.
You're watching MBC News and you're with me, Evelis Chingambe. Remember, you can access all MBC digital platforms by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen. A reminder of our top stories.
President Lazarus Chakwera is in neighboring Mozambique on a 2-day state visit at the invitation of his Mozambican counterpart, Felipe Nyusi. Governance and human rights advocate Undule Magasungula hails the Malawi Congress Party MCP for organizing a peaceful and transparent national convention. And in sports, newly signed FCB Nyasa Big Bullets players Lamek Gamhani and Wongani Lungu are not part of the squad that will face Red Arrows in CAF Champions League first preliminary round match.
We asked the children, how many of you brushed this morning? And this little boy, his hand didn't go up. And I said, well, why didn't you brush this morning? He said, my brother was using the toothbrush. If I'd waited for him, I would have been late for school. I'm sorry, I get a bit emotional when it comes to that. To be able to change a child's life, to be able to bring back that confidence about their smile, for me, is phenomenal.
Welcome back. Governance and human rights advocate Undule Magasungula has hailed the Malawi Congress Party MCP for organizing a peaceful and transparent national convention. Magasungula told MBC that the convention is a clear demonstration of democracy at work. He explains.
Honestly speaking, they just held Malawi Congress Party convention was a success. I think others might have their own views, looking at how they could assess the convention. But I think the convention was a democracy in action, with a peaceful and well-organized process that allowed every delegate's voice to be heard. And this sets an example of how political conventions in Malawi should be conducted, in emphasizing unity, maturity, discipline within political parties. The convention also showcased a diverse type of candidates from various backgrounds, reflecting MCP's commitment to everybody's participation, inclusive participation. And this diversity is very important for addressing the complex challenges the country is facing. And I feel and I believe other parties will strive to mirror this approach as they are also organizing their conferences. And one of the most remarkable aspects of the convention was the grace and loyalty demonstrated by those who did not win. They showed continued commitment to the party, highlighting the true sense of democracy.
The Ministry of Lands says so far they have distributed more than 100,000 customary land certificates to landowners in Zomba, Chikwawa and Nsanje districts. Commissioner of Lands in the ministry, Precious Tembo, made the remarks in Traditional Authority in Nkulambe in Palombe district when they distributed customary land certificates to people of Wowo irrigation scheme. We have a report.
A total of 1,661 households have received their customary land certificates in Traditional Authority Nkulambe in Palombe district. This makes Palombe to be the fourth district where the Ministry of Lands is implementing the 2016 amended land laws. According to Commissioner of Lands, Precious Tembo, they are working with chiefs, land committees, and the DC's office in identifying the rightful owner of each piece of land.
The land committees are the ones that identify the real owners of the land, and the Minister of Lands does the demarcation and issuance of the certificates.
Dolly Famasa is among the 1,661 people who received land certificates. She says the document will help her prove ownership in case of land wrangles and that her land will be protected. According to the ministry, the certificates are the final identification of customary land ownership and will be passed to generations according to the cultural practices of each particular area.
These certificates are given on land which is customary. Customary is land that is transferred from generation to generation by using traditional norms and heritage. Well, title deed, it's the one which you get from Minister of Lands. It can be freehold or it can be leasehold.
The ministry is yet to present 200,000 customary land certificates in various districts.
Religious institutions have been urged to promote the use of antiretroviral ARV drugs amongst their congregants living with HIV. Speaking during a conference that organizations involved in the fight against HIV and AIDS organized with some religious leaders, Vice-Chancellor for University of Blantyre Synod Isabel Piri said there have been reports that some religious institutions are against people receiving any kind of treatment, including ARVs. More in this report.
According to Vice-Chancellor of University of Blantyre Synod Isabel Piri, churches that prohibit uptake of medicine, including ARVs on religious grounds, are frustrating the efforts being made in the fight against HIV and AIDS. Commenting on the issue is Chairperson of Malawi Council of Churches, Reverend Billy Gama, who urged churches and its congregants to understand the relationship between faith and medication and the integral role that churches play in promoting good health.
We should do what we call praxis. Praxis is putting into prayer and action, especially considering that there have been some faith-based leaders that have been saying, we have prayed for you, stop taking your ARVs or ART. And that is not correct. This is misinformation, but also misguiding people. And we have lost a lot of people just because they stopped taking medication. So we are saying prayer is very important, but it should go also continuation of that medication.
Kadria Association of Malawi Vice Chairperson Sheikh Amir Jafar Kawinga said medicine is a gift from God and no human being should be deprived of that gift when need arises.
When somebody tells somebody not to take a medicine, that you're implying that that particular person should not have life. So what we are saying that Allah said if you kill one person, then that means you have killed a nation. So we say, if somebody tries to preach about not taking medicine, he's trying to say that you should not be alive. So we're saying as religious leaders, we have got that responsibility to make sure that this nation of Malawi, everybody is healthy, everybody is alive, so that we build Malawi.
A report by UNAIDS indicates that in 2023, there were 11,000 AIDS-related deaths and 13,000.
The Transformative Leadership Program has been described as a game changer in the transformation of education in classroom and beyond. LEAP Africa Executive Director Keinde Ayeni made the remarks at the opening of a 3-day refresher training for 27 outstanding teacher mentors in Blantyre. Naomi Kamyango has more.
The teacher mentors will in 3 days undergo a review of modules that highlight the concept of transformative leadership. This will also inspire and empower the teachers to believe in themselves and their abilities to transform themselves and their communities through the development of requisite leadership skills. LEAP Africa Executive Director Keinde Ayeni said it was pleasing that the program has helped to fill the capacity needs of teachers to manage the leadership capacity of their students, adding the program has also enabled teachers to deploy creativity beyond what different subjects provide or demand.
We've seen the impact of the Transformative Leadership Program outside of the classrooms in terms of the peer learning and the cascading of this program to their peers, teachers in the schools where they already work, the impactation of the program into the scholars themselves, and of course the translation of this into significant projects in their communities as Give Back Project. Now the Give Back Project is a very innovative, novel approach that we've adopted over time. What it has helped us to do is to go into the community, engage with the community, and improve the conditions in which the community operates or the lack in which the teachers themselves have identified.
Introduced in 2018, LEAP Africa is implementing the initiative in partnership with CAMFED with funding from MasterCard Foundation. Susan Silika is National Director for CAMFED and she explains the impact of the program among students in the country.
Most of them have been able to do well. We've got over a 50% transition into tertiary schools. Currently, we have almost 2,000 students in tertiary institutions, including those, some of them are at very prestigious public universities in Malawi. All this happened because of the mentorship that was done by the teachers with support of the training, the transformative leadership training by LEAP Africa.
As part of the program, 860 teacher mentors and 16,329 scholars were exposed to the skills and mindsets required for transformative leadership. Melenjewa from Likuni Girls Secondary School is one of the 5 teacher mentors from Malawi doing the training. He has since praised the program, saying it has raised their levels of humanity. The participants from the training have been drawn across the 5 countries of Ghana, Malawi, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda, in which the program is being implemented. Naomi Kamyango, MPC News, Blantyre.
Moving on to sports, newly signed FCB Nyasa Big Bullets players Lamek Gampani and Wongani Lungu will not feature in the team's CAF Champions League first preliminary round match against Red Arrows. The two players, who recently joined the squad from Data Dynamos and Nzuzu City Hammers, were not included on the list of eligible players as their signings occurred after the team had already submitted its roster for the tournament. According to Bullets Chief Executive Officer Albert Chigoga, the duo will be available for selection in the next round of the continental competition. Chigoga speaks to Praise Majawa.
Yeah, I may not actually be very detailed regarding the technical side of our preparations. I think I will leave that for the coach, but what I can say is that we are very prepared. All of us are very prepared for this particular match. We knew about this game a long time ago. We knew we would play against the Red Arrows of Zambia long time ago. So we are pulling in that direction. And we know that this game is coming very fast. And in terms of players, registration of players, you know, there are regulations that we are following. Players that we have just signed are not going to be part of this showdown. The first preliminary round, they are not going to be part of it. They will only be part of it if we progress to the second preliminary stage. So, yeah, Lamek and Wongani, unfortunate that they came very late when the CAF already closed for the registration of the first preliminary round. So second preliminary round, yes, we are going to register all our players that missed the opportunity to play at this stage.
And that sports item concludes this edition of MBC News. A reminder of our top stories.
President Lazarus Chakwera is in neighboring Mozambique on a 2-day state visit at the invitation of his Mozambican counterpart, Felipe Nyusi. Governance and human rights advocate Undule Magasungula hails the Malawi Congress Party MCP for organizing a peaceful and transparent national convention. And in sports, newly signed FCB Nyasa Big Bullets players Lamek Gampani and Wongani Lungu are not part of the squad that will face Red Arrows in CAF Champions League first preliminary round match.
For more on these and other stories, follow our online platforms on Facebook, Instagram and X, and also our website mbc.mw. You can access all MBC digital platforms by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen. You were with me, Evelis Jingambe. Thanks for watching and good afternoon.